Astroventures, welcome back. And it is the month of November, and we're going to take a look at our list of targets that I'm recommending for the month of November. However, we're going to do this just a tad bit differently than we usually do. Most people have a lens of 70 to 200 millimeters. And this lens, the 7200, is usually an f2.8. People tend to purchase this lens because it's part of what is considered the Holy Trinity of lenses. And this is a very fast lens. And when somebody says it's a fast lens, it means that the aperture goes nice and wide, lets lots of light in. And since this is such a common mainstay lens that lets in so much light, it allows you to capture a lot of light in a shorter window of time. And when you're using a mount such as the SkyGuider Pro that is not guiding off of a guide star, a shorter exposure time is always better because you're going to get less of that star trailing. Now, because it is an f2.8, to minimize some of the chromatic aberration you can get, I do always suggest that once it's wide open, click it back a click or two, maybe 3.2, just to help minimize some of that chromatic aberration that can happen. And so keeping that in mind, a lens, the 70 to 200 with an aperture of f2.8, my list of targets this month are going to center around that. And the first target that we're going to take a look at that I want to suggest is going to be M31, and we all know that one. It is a tried and true one, Andromeda. Andromeda is perfect, frames up beautifully in a 200 millimeter, and shooting at 3.2, that's going to allow you to keep those shorter exposure times, lots of light coming in, minimal star trailing. So M31 Andromeda Galaxy. Next, I'm going to suggest to you M33, which is the Triangulum. Now, this is going to be a bit on the smaller side because M33 can be shot anywhere up to a 500 millimeter, and it fills in the frame nicely. And normally I do recommend it up at that length, but because we're going after using a fast lens, the 70 to 200 f2.8, yes, you could still shoot this at 200 millimeters. You won't be quite as zoomed in as you would at 500, but you will be able to use that fast aperture and capture a lot of light on this target. Next up, where I want to go is IC. Let's see here. 1805, which is the Heart. This one frames beautifully in 200 millimeters, and because it is hydrogen alpha, it does lend itself well to an astro-mounted camera. However, the hydrogen alpha is so strong in this target, you're still going to be able to pick it up with a stock camera. And right now at this time of the year, going into November here in northern Utah, I'm going to be able to start shooting November 11th, and check timeanddate.com so you can find your own, local area for shooting times and end times. But I'm looking at being able to start at, let's see here, 7 o'clock in the evening, because remember, we got the time shift coming up, and that's going to happen Halloween weekend for those that are in the States, or this upcoming weekend. And so I can start shooting at 7 o'clock at night, and I'm going to be able to shoot all the way through till back on November, it's coming up, but on November 11th, I'll be able to shoot from 7 all the way until 11:30 at night. That's going to give me 4.5 hours, and that's the start of the window to be able to shoot. So shooting with with a stock camera on the Heart Nebula, you're going to be able to do great, because by the time you get down to, say, the new moon, you're going to be able to pull, 10 hours of shooting. And so in doing so, even though you may be shooting with a stock camera, that's plenty of hours to pick up lots of light on the Heart Nebula and just reinforce that red of the hydrogen alpha. So go for that one. Again, 200 millimeters frames up beautifully. Right next door to it, we have the Soul Nebula, also called the Baby Nebula. This one's going to frame up beautifully on 200 millimeters. You could push it to 300, but again, we're focused on a lens that is super, super fast. So this will frame up beautifully on 200. And again, since you are using a lens that is super fast, you could actually zoom out on your lens, use that fast aperture, and you could capture both of these within that if you were to zoom out to, say, 70 millimeters. And again, when I make references to focal lengths, that's assuming you're using a crop sensor to help get that extra focal length in there. However, again, our focus is on using a fast lens. So let's move on from there. That's the Heart and Soul. Both of those are great. Go after those. Next one I want to go to is, now this one here, you're going to have to wait a little bit, and we're going for IC 434. Now, right now you can see I'm looking at the Earth. And that's because what we're going to have to do is, now this is back on the 11th. I like to be above 30 degrees. So let's move this up. Okay, so here we go. Now, on the 11th, this isn't going to work because we would have the moon, but I'm still going to take a look at it. We would want to be closer to the actual new moon to go after this one. But again, I'm focused on using a particular lens. So the new moon this month is on November 19th, but let's take a look at the framing here. So at 200 millimeters, you're going to be able to capture all of this. This is going to fit up beautifully. It's going to allow you to do a manual bit of shifting around of your target through the night. So that way there you can do a manual dithering to help minimize noise. And you'll have plenty of cropping area around the outside. But all of this frames up beautifully. Now, the red part, this is going to be a bit harder. This area along my cursor, this is a bit stronger and is going to show up. Astro mods are gonna, or astro modded cameras are gonna pick up some of this that dilutes out. But even with a stock, you're still going to be able to pull this in. Now, it is quite a bit fainter than the flame over here. And these areas here, you can see IC 432, and you got this one, the Lump Star, which is NGC 2023. This one over here, IC 435. All of these, you've got that beautiful blue similar to the Iris Nebula that we see, where you have starlight that's passing through dust and things. But all of this shows up beautifully on a 200 millimeter, and you can also look at shooting wider. You can see you've got over here, and when I say wider, you could always throw on, say, a 50 millimeter, and that typically gets you down to a 1.8 aperture, which is going to get you faster. But then you could pull in Bernard's Loop. You could get the Orion Nebula. I mean, it just opens it up. But again, we're focused on that fast. So 200 millimeter lens, get you right in there, all this great stuff. If you wanted to, you could always throw on that 50 millimeter, get yourself to a faster lens of 1.8 aperture. But like I said, give it a click or two, maybe click it up to 2.2 to help minimize some of that chromatic aberration. But this is going to be a great target. Absolutely go after that. And again, now that we're in November, we're going into those colder months. The air tends to be a bit better because the cold helps to pull some of that moisture out. And you've got those long nights. The next one, last one I'm going to suggest is jumping over here to the Orion Nebula. This one here, 200 millimeters, is going to frame this up beautifully. This one can be a little bit tricky though. And the reason being is this bright area right here in the center. Oh man, this blows out so easily. And so this may end up being something that you shoot on a couple different nights. Shoot one night where, you minimize how much is blowing out here. Shoot another night where you're letting that blow out, but you're capturing more of this. stack it all together, blend it all together. But this one here is great, and the more hours you can do on it, and the reds are so strong in this that even with a stock camera, you're going to pull it in. But the longer hours you can get on this target, the better, because you pick up all of this dark, you know, cloudiness that's out here, this nebulosity that's out here. So with more hours, you get more and more of it showing up. So there you have it. Those are the targets that I'm going to suggest for the month of November, and specifically staying in and around the lens of 70 to 200 millimeters f2.8. Sure, some of these targets you could zoom in even further with a longer lens, but typically everybody's shooting with, say, a 150 to 600 millimeter variable aperture, and on the longer end, that aperture closes up to a 6.3. It is nowhere close to that wide end of, you know, say a stop down f2.8 sitting at a 3.2. So the amount of light coming in is just vastly different. So there you have it. Get out there, shoot some stuff. I would love to see you join us over at our Facebook group, Astroventure DSLR, and love to have you share some of the photos that you've captured. And I myself, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to go after yet, but I am playing with going after the witch head. This is a very difficult target because it's a reflection nebulosity coming off of the star Rigel. And processing can be really, really difficult. If you want to go after it, it's great. It's easy to locate. You got Orion's Belt, you got the Orion Nebula, and then you've got this bright star Rigel that's right here. Kind of, you got this connection point, and right next door to it is the witch head. Many, many hours are needed. You can do it with a stock camera, but definitely want to be able to pull in some light. It's a tough one. So I think I might go after this one again. Anyway, until next time, I'd love to have you subscribe, ring the bell, share the video out, and I wish you clear skies and uneventful nights.